Bishop Amos, we invited the children of the Diocese of Davenport to ask questions of you as you're preparing for retirement. And so I've got a list of questions, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to answer those now.
I'll certainly try.
Great. Okay, the first one comes from Lourdes Catholic School in Bettendorf. What is the most challenging thing you have had to do while a bishop? That's from Tyson Flowers.
Okay. The most difficult part for me has been in a leadership role, trying to balance different opinions and different ways of looking at things and still be faithful to the teachings of the church, but being pastoral. It's just all of that coming together when you're trapped to make decisions, and particularly decisions about people and their lives, and that part is hard.
Okay. Our second question comes from Notre Dame Middle School, High School in Burlington. And this question is, what advice would you give the new bishop?
I think I would give him the same advice that our retreat master gave us when the bishops met last January for our retreat. And he said to us, remember that your predecessor left you things to do, and you will leave things for your successor to do. So you can't do everything. Do the best you can with the knowledge that you have and the people who are working with you, and then leave it up to God.
That's awesome. And our third question comes from Prince of Peace Catholic School in Clinton. What was your favorite thing you accomplished?
My favorite thing that I accomplished, probably getting homilies done on time. It's a real chore. Most of the time when I'm giving a homily, it's for some special occasion, and so you want it to be good, and that just takes a lot of work. So the fact that I got through the past 10 and a half years and got them done on time is a real thing that I'm proud of.
Well, you do a great job with homilies. Do you have any idea how many homilies you've given over these 10 and a half years?
No, but I do every month. I keep a chart. I delete them, but I keep a chart of what homilies are coming for the month, and there's usually about 10 or 15 on a particular month. So.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. From All Saints Catholic School in Davenport, our question is, what will you miss doing from your job as bishop?
What will I miss? I think the interaction with the people of the diocese. It's fun when I go to confirmations. It's fun when you're sitting down and having coffee with somebody at a parish. So I think I'm gonna miss that a lot.
Oh, that's great. And then from St. Paul the Apostle Catholic School in Davenport, is there anything you have learned from being a bishop that brought you closer to God that you may have missed if you had never been a bishop?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Repeat the question again.
Yeah. Is there anything you have learned from being a bishop that brought you closer to God that you may have missed if you had not been a bishop?
I don't have a good answer to that one. I'd have to think about that one.
That is kind of interesting.
It's a very good question.
Well, what are some of the things that have brought you closer to God as a bishop?
I think, again, it's a lot of it is the ceremonial stuff that I do. I do find that a time of prayer for me. It's not just something that I do out there, but it does bring me closer to God when I do those things. So, like, every confirmation, I'm imparting the Spirit. At an ordination, I'm passing on the apostolic ministry. Those things all bring me closer to God.
Well, and I've noticed you pray before you will begin a liturgy, don't you? You take some time.
I do try to. I used to always, when I was a parish priest, try to get to church a half hour early, mainly to set things up, make sure the chalice is out and all that, but then just to sit quietly. I try to do that. It doesn't always work.
Is that a way of kind of centering yourself?
Yes, I think so. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Well, we have a question from St. Joseph Catholic School in DeWitt. What was your biggest mishap in a Mass as bishop?
There have been a lot of mishaps, but most people would probably never, ever know that they happened. And I don't know how many people know this one happened, but I didn't have a master of ceremonies. So I was taking care of my own miter, and I was at one of the churches, and it was time for the post-communion prayer, and I'm sitting there thinking, now where's my miter? I was sitting on it. So I very gently took it out, and I don't think anybody saw.
Oh, that's great. From St. Vincent Catholic Schools in Keokuk, what is your favorite Bible story? Paige says hers is Adam and Eve.
I suppose from the Old Testament is from the Book of Kings about God coming to Elijah and not being in all of the normal places where an epiphany would take place, but comes in the gentle whisper. I just think that's how God works in my life. And then from St. Paul, I think it's in Romans, no one lives as his own master, no one dies as his own master, whether alive or dead, we belong to the Lord.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like that. Could I ask you a couple more questions from the kids?
Certainly.
Okay, let me turn this sheet back over. How did you change our diocese for the better? That's from Lord's Catholic School.
I hope I've changed it for the better. I've tried to. How have I done that? I hope part of it has been by delegating. We're surrounded by a lot of very, very talented people, and I hope I've allowed people to do what they do best and not try to micromanage them, even though I want to be in control all the time.
That's right. And from Notre Dame Middle School, High School, what will you miss most about being a bishop? Well, you're still going to be a bishop.
I'll still be a bishop, yeah. And so I presume that, wherever I'm living, that the bishop there will let me continue to do bishop things. The things that I really enjoy doing, like liturgies and that, I'm sure I'll be able to continue to do. What will I miss? I think, like I said before, I don't think I'll have the same intensity of interaction with people. And I think that's going to be, especially in the beginning, will be kind of interesting.
Yeah. Are you still going to say Mass after you retire?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
And are you excited or sad to retire? That's from All Saints Catholic School in Davenport.
Well, I suppose there's a mixed emotion, but probably the majority of me is very glad. It's time. It's time.
What makes it time? How do you know it's time? Is it just a way you're feeling about?
Well, I think at 75, I don't get around like I did when I first came here, and I was 59, just going to turn 60. That makes 65 rather. That makes a big difference. So it's hard to stand for a long time when I get my pictures taken and stuff like that. So that makes me know that it's time, and I think God puts that into me, that you've done what you can do, and now it's time for somebody else to take it the next step.
Oh, that's great. And then from St. Paul the Apostle, are there any funny stories that happened in the time that you've been Bishop of the Diocese of Davenport? I can think of a couple.
There have been a lot of funny things. What ones can you think of?
I can think about the one where you and I were driving to a deanery meeting, and we got to the church, and the parking lot was empty.
Yes.
And we realized that
we
it
were
was in
wrong
another church at another town.
Yes, we were at the wrong church, yes. That's happened more than once. Yeah, there have been a lot of fun things like that.
Okay. And then from St. Joseph Catholic School in DeWitt, what challenges did God have you face being a bishop?
Well, I think in the very beginning, when we went into bankruptcy, that was a challenge, something that I had never done before. But day by day, and listen to the advice of good people, and you get through that. I think sometimes having to call somebody in to have a conversation with them about something is sometimes a little bit difficult to do. Certainly, when you have to close a church building, that's also very difficult to do.
How did you prepare for that prayer? How did that make that process a little easier?
I don't know if it ever gets easier, but it's a realization that this has to be. It's not. You never want to close it, so it's not as though I made a decision to close it, but the circumstances were such that it needed to be done.
Okay. How about one last question from St. Vincent Catholic Schools in Keokuk? What is your favorite Mass of the year?
Oh, it has to be the Easter Vigil. Just to go into a dark church and see the light of Christ spread through the whole congregation, you just realize how interconnected we all are. And then to have all those readings, to go through almost the salvation history is always great. And then I think to do baptisms or baptisms or confirmations and that. So at the Easter Vigil. So it would definitely be the Easter Vigil.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you, Bishop Amos. We really appreciated your answering some of these questions today.
Certainly, well, they're very good questions. They're very thoughtful questions that they asked. So thank you.
Thank you.